Hello.
Hello.
Are you ready to podcast?
As far as I'm concerned, I'm already podcasting.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a twist, surprise reveal.
Bum bum.
Ooh, produced by Dick Wolf. Or created by, whatever. I don't
He's
fucking watch that
definitely
show.
EP.
EP.
Executive producer.
Executive producer, Dick Wolf, of course. Yep.
Yeah. That's what it
That's
says.
the one. Yep. And which is so weird. Oh, I'm clipping.
Yeah, I could tell. I was about to say.
This is so weird because I thought after that Penny Arcade fiasco, we were all done talking about Dick Wolves.
You should check in your Windows system sounds that your microphone input is at 54.
Okay.
That might be why you've been having such trouble. And then we can adjust it from there.
In Audacity, my recording volume was 61 and I put it down to 54.
Okay. Is Audacity the same as the system sound thing? I think it is. I think it is.
But I've got a mixer and an interface, and those all got multiple knobs on them. So I just I bump the slider down.
Yeah, you gotta come pick up my Rodecaster.
Yeah.
You had a mixer and an interface? That's crazy town.
Well, what? It was already set up that way, and I was like, I just go through the interface, and I don't have the technical knowledge to defend this position, but I was like, do I trust this USB interface to provide adequate power to my microphone? I'm not sure that I do.
Well, you have a condenser microphone, so it needs phantom power, but then it barely needs any gain. So I would trust it. What I wouldn't trust is the 12, 13-year-old Behringer behemoth.
Keith, it's Behringer.
I said Behringer.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, listen, it's Behringer. We're fine.
Oh, the guy that owns a factory city in China?
Wait, this thing's from China?
Yeah. Uli Behringer's
throwing it out my window.
City. I mean, I don't care that it's from China. I care that it's from a weird factory city.
I know.
Music Tribe City?
I mean, here, this isn't the podcast. This is not the podcast.
You don't want to talk about Music Tribe?
I'm just saying this isn't the podcast, but also my question is, are there living quarters in this city? Because otherwise, it's not a city, it's just a big factory.
There are.
Okay, fine.
Music Tribe City is a large complex that includes state-of-the-art factory accommodation and recreational facilities for employees. It is a mega factory town.
Great. I'm so happy for them.
That's how they can sell you recreations of classic synthesizers for so cheap.
Oh, the cheapest guitar pedals.
Truly the cheapest guitar pedals.
You haven't even seen my pedal board. It's like 10 feet wide. And there's not a single original authentic pedal on there. It's all Behringer.
No, but there's hardly any original authentic pedals even outside of Behringer. It just depends. Do you want to pay $30 for your inauthenticity, or do you want to pay $250?
That makes sense. God, I don't even remember. I have no memory of when we recorded this or why I re-encountered it. But I tell you, I did go and put in my my order for a $750 cassette tape delay machine, whatever the fuck.
You went in? No, you didn't.
Do you remember that?
No.
Okay. Well, there's. You were just telling me this. I'm pretty sure this was years ago. You were telling me about like a $750 tape delay unit or something.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was
the
like,
T-Rex replicator.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
I
the
was
T-Rex
like,
replicator.
I don't know what that is, what a tape delay is, and you explained it to me, and I just started laughing. And you're like, "Why are you laughing? Why? What?
What's funny about that? That it's
What's
awesome? Are you
funny
laughing
about
at
that?
how awesome it is? I see. Now you say, haha, isn't it so funny to spend $650 on, which is the current price, by the way, an actual tape delay machine that actually has an actual tape that it's using to make the delay. But what if I told you that I spent $350 used on a used version of a thing that just pretends to do tape delay?
Wow, that's crazy.
That's what I spent on my Strymon Volanti.
Hey, man, we all have our things. I can't get the idea out of my head of paying $750 for a RetroTink 4K Pro, whatever the thing.
Oh, the FrameMeister thing?
Yeah, the FrameMeister, because it has it's got all kinds of CRT emulation effects. I'm like, oh man, I could have a thing that looks just like a CRT, but on my HD TV, and would only cost $750.
They made a much cheaper RetroTink, though. You could get the cheaper one.
I know, but it
has all the same stuff. It's like missing like 2 features. By the way, I want to clarify. I only paid, tax and delivery included, $278 for my used Strymon Volanti magnetic echo machine.
Why do we always do this? Why do we start talking? Why don't we just say it's the podcast? And now I'm going to have to go back and figure out, where the hell does the podcast start?
I think the whole thing is the podcast.
Oh shit, no.
Yeah, this is all in.
You're telling me we've been in the podcast the whole time?
We've been in the podcast the whole time. Yep.
No. Welcome, everybody, to another timely edition of the Run Button Podcast.
When was the last time there was a Run Button Podcast?
The last time there was a Run Button Podcast, and it's actually, it's ironically relevant. It's timely for
highly
Run
relevant.
Button, because the last time we did a podcast was that time 1 year and 6 days ago when I fucked up and accidentally restarted our Halo level when we were right about to record Halo. So instead we did a podcast for 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the last thing on our feed is called Recording Loss Come Down Podcast.
Yes,
or something like that.
I mean,
yeah.
I forgot that's why we recorded it. I was just thinking that it was relevant because it's been a year. It's been 1 year and 1 week. So we could just say it's the next week except for a year.
Sure, yeah. I say it's relevant because the episodes of Halo that we recorded a year ago, I just released in the last couple weeks.
Right.
So if you watched our Halo videos when they came out, you just heard us talk about that thing. Anyways,
I think actually it's good that you've reminded me that those videos were recorded a year ago, because I would have bet anything that they were from 2 years ago. I really thought that Halo stuff was recorded 2 years ago.
And the funniest thing about it, though, is that unlike almost anything else we record, they're essentially timeless. I think I told you I edited one and you were like, oh, is it super dated? Did we talk about a bunch of stuff? And I'm like, no, because it was Halo. All we talk about is the guys we're shooting.
Right.
There's no time-dated material at all.
It's the only Let's Play that fulfills the strange desire of people that hated us 15 years ago to talk about the game that we're playing.
Yeah, and look at us now.
Look at us now.
Our videos
less successful than ever.
Literally hundreds of views. Literally hundreds.
Anyway, Kyle came to me today and said, "Do you want to do a podcast
about the Switch 2?"
About the Switch 2, and I was like, "Oh, sure."
The Switch 2 kerfuffle.
And that was 2 hours ago, and now here we are.
Wow. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Because finally some video game news I care about. Sort of.
It's funny, but it is true.
Keith, I still don't really understand, but Keith has an extremely freewheeling attitude to what we talk about on our YouTube videos, but when it comes to podcasts, he wants it to only be game news.
That's not totally
like we're pretending
true.
to be IGN.
What I want when we record something is to like know that we have something to talk about.
We always have something to talk about.
Listen, the problem is
we flipped on the microphones and all of a sudden we're talking about tape delays and dick wolves.
I know, but we could have been recording an episode of a Let's Play if that was the case. I at least want to like have played a video game in the last 3 weeks, and that's not always true anymore.
Whatever.
So you can if you come to me with a pitch of like, I want to do a podcast for us to talk about X, that's really all it takes for me is like one idea.
Clearly.
One solid idea.
Yeah, I came to you with one idea, and here we are.
Yeah, and here we are.
So the Switch 2 had the launch date's been announced. The pricing has been announced. They showed off some games.
By the way, we're not current on this either.
Well, it's ongoing.
It's ongoing. Sure, maybe there's new news that I don't know about.
We're fashionably late, as we always are.
We're fashionably late, yeah.
But I think this is, and now again, I'm mostly making this up because I don't pay attention to people who talk about games on the internet because I would go even more insane than I already am on a daily basis. But I think this is this is an ongoing event. This is stewing within the game community.
I think it's shoutering.
We're not over this. I mean, the system's not even out for, well, at this point, God knows, because they've delayed the pre-orders.
They sure have, huh?
Yeah.
Do you want to unfold this story as it happened to you?
I was gonna ask. Like I said, I think I know the answer. But did you watch the Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2 that revealed these games?
I watched most of it.
Wow, amazing!
So that surprised you. I bet.
Just now. Hang on.
You should have your.
I've turned the gain down on the interface and the slider up on the mixer.
What? How up is the slider on the mixer?
No, fuck you.
Why don't you just plug directly into the interface, see how it sounds?
Fine. Oh, you know what? I noticed one problem.
Dude, that sounds so much better. Holy fucking shit. Immediately. Oh my God.
Okay. Well, also, when I picked up the interface and looked at the front, I realized that when I said just now that I turned the gain down, what I actually did was I turned down the headphone knob on the interface, which of course did nothing.
Right. I should say there's a tonal quality that I think is not necessarily better or worse, but it's so much cleaner sounding. You're much clearer.
Okay. Well, geez, hard to believe. Hard to believe that my voice quality improved after I took the 15-year-old Behringer product out of the loop, but I'm just gonna have to take your word for it.
Yeah. And you're using an equally old PreSonus Inspire mixer? Is that what you're...
Oh God, no. Okay. I think that broke or something. This is actually Cheryl's interface. Cheryl already had an interface when I met her, and it was better than the possibly also Behringer piece of shit that basically never worked correctly that I had switched to from the PreSonus.
Right.
And so I used this. This is a...
Ooh, it's a mystery.
A Focusrite Scarlett Solo.
Yeah, those are fine. Those are like your normal.
Yeah.
Those are like your
Yeah.
normalest, finest things.
It seems normal and fine.
Yeah. Because here's the problem. As soon as you're using two things, you're doing a mixer into the Focusrite, you're like combining their deficiencies. You know what I mean?
Wait,
So-
I'm not combining their powers like a fusion dance?
No. Well, you are doing that too. Yeah. But you don't need that much power.
Yeah, then
Like,
I
unless
ended
you're-
up with the Go tanks of mic audio.
In that, it's evil.
In that it's a shitty little brat.
Yeah, you combine one kind of rude guy with one sweet little boy to create an evil shithead.
Rip Akira Toriyama.
Yeah. Sad.
He passed a while ago at this point, but I've been catching up on the years of Retronauts episodes that I missed, and so I just listened to them do like a tribute episode to Akira Toriyama right after he died recently, so it feels like it just happened.
Yeah. It always feels like it just happened to me. Goku, he's everywhere. You know, he's a testament to the man.
He always will be.
He always will be.
Goku will outlive Toriyama by centuries.
Yeah. Hey, that clock is ticking.
Oh, well, I think we've got time.
No, I'm saying like he's already started outliving him. So it's only
Sure.
ticking. It's
Yeah,
ticking
no.
up. Sorry, a lot of the time when clocks are ticking, they're ticking down. This clock is ticking up. Actually,
then-
clocks are always ticking up, except in the expression "the clock is ticking."
Yeah. And then once Goku goes into the hyperbolic time chamber, he's going to outlive Toriyama even further. Wait, no, that's not how that works. It's the opposite. Shit. Okay. Okay. I swear we'll talk about the Switch too, but here's food for thought. When you spend a year in the hyperbolic time chamber, but it's only a day in real life, presumably that means you're shortening your real world life, right? Because you're like living a year in a day. So you're a year older, but time hasn't meaningfully moved on. So like you would have lived until 2050, but now it's going to be 2049 because you lived a year if you die of natural causes.
It's correct. You're correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now that we've got that settled.
And it doesn't count as losing a life. It's just skipping a year on the outside because you still lived that time. You just
I
lived
understand.
it. You lived it in the time. It's the world's worst vacation.
Your loved ones get 1 year less with you.
That's
from
true,
their
unless you bring
perspective.
one of your loved ones in the chamber.
Unless you bring your son in with you, so you can get
And then
him
it's
to become
the
Super
best
Saiyan.
year of your son's life.
And then you exit that time chamber only for your son to put on the clothes of Piccolo,
Another
your
man.
enemy, and
Yeah.
learn that he's your son's real dad.
And that your wife wants a divorce and she's marrying Piccolo?
Okay, you know what? Since Dragon Ball Daima shows, we're just gonna start making up kooky Dragon Ball spin-offs now. I do want the one where Chi-Chi marries Piccolo and Goku's just not in the show at all. We have to watch Piccolo learn to live with Chi-Chi and vice versa.
It's barely sillier than Dragon Ball Daima.
I still haven't seen it, but I did read a bit of the premise, and it literally is just GT again, but this time everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, what if GT was like Muppet Babies?
Kind of already was, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Who's Gonzo?
Go Tanks.
I think Gotenks is Rizzo.
And who's Hercule?
Krillin?
Krillin?
Yeah.
Krillin is Gonzo?
I think so.
Nope, sorry, we're not going down this road. We're cutting it
Yajirobe
off.
is Fozzie Bear.
We're stopping. We do know that Piccolo is Sam the Eagle.
Yeah.
Yes! I clipped again. God damn it. The Switch 2 announcement. Nintendo says, we've got a Switch 2 Direct. We're going to tell you all about the Switch 2. And I watched it, and I kept waiting for them to tell us the price of it, and that didn't happen. I was hoping that there was going to be lots of new games from Nintendo announced that we hadn't heard about already, and we got a literal couple, but there wasn't very much.
There was a lot of games, just not a lot of Nintendo games.
Yeah, there was so many games. Not a lot of new games. It was like a lot of, can you believe Hitman World of Assassination is coming to the Switch 2?
And yes, I can.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like, look.
Okay, so we got Mario Kart World. We got Donkey Kong Bonanza. We got Kirby Air Riders.
The greatest title, Bonanza.
A Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Switch Edition. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment.
Oh, okay, there was one more. I forgot about that one, I guess.
The Dusk Bloods.
Right. I guess it is actually, I think, published by Nintendo. That one was big. That was shocking.
That was a shocker. That was a genuine shocker.
This is a FromSoft game. Seems to be a Bloodborne 2 with the Born sanded off. The Born 2 sanded off. And
de-Sony'd Bloodborne.
The real head spinner for me and all that is what's going on with Sony and Bloodborne.
I have no idea. Right? Yeah, I don't really follow the FromSoft stuff because they've only made one good game since Chrome Hounds, and it's called Sekiro. But Sony owns the publishing rights to Bloodborne. People have been begging them for both or either a Bloodborne re-release on like PC or PS5 or even just fucking PS4 Pro edition. And they haven't got it. They also want Bloodborne 2. And we've all been spending years assuming the announcement must be around the corner, and it keeps not happening. And now all of a sudden we've got like a Demon Souls, Dark Souls situation with Dusk Bloods, where it's like, wink, wink, it's not related to Bloodborne, wink, 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 wink. So
which was another Sony thing. Demon Souls was Sony. They didn't want to publish a sequel, so they had to.
This is what I've heard, which accounts for nothing. What I've heard is not shit. So, but this is what I heard, which is that Miyazaki is interested in a Bloodborne remake, and there's some combination of that he wants to be directly involved, but doesn't have the opportunity, and then also legal stuff.
He's booked
with the rights to Bloodborne somehow. That is like the kind of combination of things that I've heard. And so if he's been like doing all this other stuff and like hasn't had time to personally do a Bloodborne remake, which is, I gotta say, that's how you want a remake to be done if you're gonna do a remake. I think
done by Miyazaki, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that people should stop asking for remakes for things. That's what I think. I think that we live in a world where they only ever remake and remaster something, and people go like, well, if we're going to get remakes and remasters all the time, I at least want the remasters of the games that I like. No, you don't. You don't want... That's like the last thing that you want.
In fairness, I don't think anyone's asking for a remake or remaster. They're literally just asking for a PC port. Because
definitely people are asking for a remake and a remaster.
All right.
Sure.
Well,
but
let's
also,
not forget,
ports, PC port.
Bloodborne didn't run well when it launched.
Correct.
So like it came out the gate like, this frame rate could be above 30.
Right.
This frame rate could be 30 in a perfect world.
It is the FromSoft Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I've been waiting for the Switch 2 so that I could play that Pokemon game.
Well, great news. You're getting it's a Legends game. I
am highly interested in that.
Yeah, I didn't realize they had announced a Pokemon Legends
Pokemon
game.
Za?
Like, Pokemon Za was announced, like the week before or something. And there's going to be a Switch 2 edition. So that's another thing. Nintendo's already like, great news, we're going to have Switch 2 editions of all these Switch games so that they'll run better and you'll get to pay more money for them. Which I'm not surprised. That's it. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I am also not surprised that they're going to make you pay for those upgraded things.
Right.
They shouldn't.
Yeah.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, like maybe if everyone's already upset about how much your system's going to cost and how much the games on it, the new games are going to cost, maybe you could just let us have Breath of the Wild at 60 frames per second, especially because it wasn't reliably 30 when it launched.
The price, have we even said the price? You talked about how they didn't say a price, but they actually did.
$449 US. They didn't say it on the Direct.
They didn't say it on the Direct. They said it like 2 outlets after the Direct.
Yeah.
500 even if you also want Mario Kart.
Which will save you how many dollars, Keith?
$30.
$30 because Mario Kart World will cost $80.
Okay. I'm going to be the insane guy about all of this.
Okay.
First of all, fuck
this
Nintendo.
This could go either way.
First of all, fuck Nintendo as a company in general. Like, they have, like, a lot of weird business practices. They're constantly suing everybody over nothing. They've enslaved that Bowser guy. Remember that Bowser guy?
Doug
no,
Bowser?
Other Bowser. There's 3 Bowsers.
The Lizard Man.
No, the third Bowser.
I'm not aware of a third Bowser.
The guy that they sued for
Bowser.
like hacking Nintendo Switches or like selling shit to like put pirated games on your Nintendo Switch. You remember that guy?
No.
From a couple years ago? You don't remember?
Was his name Bowser?
Yeah.
His real name Bowser?
Yes. Lawsuit. He's a Canadian. Let me see. The man Gary Bowser. The man who owes Nintendo $14 million. Gary Bowser in gaming's most infamous piracy case.
Right.
The hacker whose involvement with
actually
anti-piracy software ended in a jail sentence has emerged from prison, struggling to make rent as he starts paying his fine. Quote, "It could be worse," he says. He's lying. It couldn't be.
Right. How?
They're like docking 30% of all the money he makes from now until he's dead in order to try and recoup $14 million from him, which is what they said that they lost in game sales because of him, which is, again, time after time, proven over and over and over again, that's not how piracy works.
Right.
Pirates are a game, music, books, everything. Pirates are always found to be, 1, people who never were going to buy your thing anyway, or 2, actually the biggest spenders on your products.
Right. Yeah.
It is not people who like would have spent $500 and instead stole it. It's people who like would have spent $2,000 and instead stole $500 or would never have paid a cent.
I will offer, obviously that's horrible to do that to that guy, but also probably don't pirate new games.
He wasn't a pirate. He was facilitating piracy.
No, I'm just saying it generally for everyone. Like, probably if you're going to pirate a game, it should be an old one that's not being sold anymore.
I don't care. Pirate new games, I don't care. If anything, pirate new games specifically. That's what I'll say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bold.
Why not? Who cares? I think piracy is good for the businesses. That is my firm belief. Piracy is good for those businesses. It's not bad for them.
That feels like a stretch to me.
It's not. It's like I said, people who pirate games are either people who didn't have enough money to buy it in the first place or are already spending all of their money on you. They show it time and time again.
All right. We don't have to get caught up on the piracy thing.
Who's pirating things? It's people like me who spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on games a year who will also pirate a game. There are some dedicated pirates who will refuse to pay for anything ever, but closing the door on piracy, all it does is create ill will. Can you think of how much ill will Nintendo has against them over the last like 15 or 20 years from all of this dog shit that they've been doing? Like, the last thing that you want to do is like engender negativity in your core fan base.
Oh, wait. That's the last thing you want to do.
That's the last
Nintendo?
thing you want to do.
Has anyone told them?
I think people have tried. I assume people have tried. Not lawyers. Okay. Lawyers are like, no, you should definitely be suing. You should be letting us sue.
Okay, sorry. So you said you're going to be the insane person on this, and we were talking about the pricing of the system in the games.
The system costs $50 more than I think anybody would have batted an eye at. Like, I think nobody would have batted an eye at a $400 Switch.
Yeah,
and the fact that it's $450, I think that you've just got to accept that the prices of things are changing.
Yeah, and Nintendo did not inflate. Nintendo did not invent the inflation that has occurred in recent years.
Right. I think that the price increase is so minorly higher than what everyone would have accepted with no issue that I think it's a pill that you're going to have to swallow.
Yeah.
It's not like everyone was expecting it to be $400 and they said it's actually $600. It's $450. Okay.
Right.
That's the world.
That's pretty much exactly the price I expected. It's not the price that I wanted.
No.
But it was the price I expected.
Now the flip side. This is the other thing. The $80 Mario Kart. I think that I have proven, you can go back to last summer, maybe even the summer before. We were talking about games and the economy of games and the worsening economy of games and how difficult it's been to make and release games. There's a lot of reasons why that's true. These companies are billion-dollar companies still, executives making boatloads of money, wildly inflated profits for a lot of publishers. And this increase in money is probably not going to the people who actually make games at Nintendo, the people who sit down at a desk and make games at a computer all day and then say, hey, boss, I made this game for you to sell. I don't think that those people are probably making more money off of games, but I do think that $80 is what games should cost. In a healthy economy where people have money to buy games, where people who make games are making money and have secure jobs, the fact that in the at the absolute peak of the house of cards of the globalized economy, video game prices stabilized at $50 in the late 90s, the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, which is what, $85 in today's money, $90 in today's money, right?
At least, yeah.
Before that, we have video games that were cheaper to make, cost less people to make, they were made faster, and we had more I won't say we had more games coming out. We had way fewer games coming out, but it felt like the top tier of games that publishers were putting out, there was more of those. Those games were costing what, $70, $80, $90 in the mid-90s, in mid-90s money.
Yeah, on the high end, definitely. It would be your RPGs and stuff like that. But yeah, I still think about that all the time. Yeah, Chrono Trigger was $70, $80 in 1995.
Yeah, Zelda was $85, $90, right?
I don't know about that, but
I think that it was. We'll have to look it up. One of the Zeldas, not Zelda 1.
I think Virtua Racing on the 32X was $90 or something.
Right. Again, which would have been $160 in today's money.
So much money, and there was a lot more variability in the price of games at that time also. And this is something Nintendo claims will be happening on the Switch 2.
What do they claim?
Some doubts that they're saying not all the games are going to be 80. For example, Donkey Kong Bonanza, the greatest game title of all time.
Mm-hmm. Looks pretty fun too.
It looks great. It's going to be 70. Ironically, it's already backfiring on them because I saw that it was going to be 70, and I was kind of oh, so it's it's not going to be as good as Mario Kart, I guess. It's Nintendo thinks
That's
Donkey
crazy.
Kong Bonanza not really
me at all.
but there was there was a little bit of Nintendo keeps hammering like Mario Kart World. It has to be $80 because it's so big and there's so much to do in it. And I am kind of like fucking bullshit. Though it does appear to be perhaps the largest Mario Kart game with the most things to do in it for what that's worth. And then I see like Donkey Kong Bonanza, which looks like a huge game. And it's like, $10 less, huh? What are they saying? It's not.
I think what they're saying is that they can't charge people $80 for Donkey Kong. I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So when we talked about this last summer, my point was like, specifically like small developers and indie developers need to get over this absolutely deluded position that they got themselves in based on early indie game hype and like Microsoft involvement around the Xbox Live Arcade era, where the idea that your game that lots of people worked lots of hours and very hard on was going to cost $10 or $15.
Yeah.
And that if you're going to put something out that like wasn't a big budget game, that like $10 or $15, maybe $20, like that was your target price. And if you happen to have a game that wasn't like 10 hours long and you were trying to charge $15 whole for it, that you were doing something immoral. That was a crazy world that we were living in.
Yeah.
Those games should have cost $45.
Sure.
That is the world that we need. Like these people need to fucking eat food.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need to be able to sell their game and then use that money to like fund 3 more years of developing a game. And when I see people like not putting together that like the cost of video games is directly tied to the money that the people who make those games need to like live and to work on for, it's like a book advance. Like you get the advance so that you can write your next book.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they need the money from the game selling to make their next game. This is the problem with the Nintendo stuff.
But in the world of Kickstarter,
is there an example of a game that was kickstarted that wasn't like a pre-existing known studio like Double Fine, who sold a game on Kickstarter, developed it and released it, and then was able to make another game?
That it must have happened.
It must have happened, but it sure is a tough question, right?
Yeah, I think the sad reality is a lot of them will rely on the now time-tested method of asking for way less than you actually need to make the game on Kickstarter, so that you can then go to an outside funding source and say, see, we need way more money to make the game, but the successful Kickstarter proves that people are interested.
Right. Yeah. Which is bad, because you're right. If you don't get that money, then you're fucking screwed. You have all these people's Kickstarter money and then no secondary investment.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I was listening to an interview with the guy who made like Anton Blast on Retronauts today, and he mentioned this, where it's like
the sequel to Uncle on Blast.
The sequel to Anton Ball, apparently.
I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can't say that was that interested in it. I heard it was good, I guess.
Sure.
I don't know that much about it. But, he mentions, unfortunately, when indie developers make the mistake of asking on Kickstarter for the amount of money they need to make the game, it is often that they are unsuccessful in getting all of that money through Kickstarter.
Yeah. Now, here is the issue. Instead of being mad about $80 Mario Kart and how dare you think that a video game should cost $80, what needs to happen is like a shift of your anger towards like, are the people who actually make this game getting that extra money? Or are they making the same money that they ever were, and then Nintendo's fucking like bottom line is what? Balloons off of this. Like, it's not that games shouldn't cost $80. It's just that an $80 game means more money should be going to people who make the games.
Yeah. And it's been frustrating because, as things always are on the internet, it's like, I'd like to be disappointed with Nintendo's pricing and how they're handling the delivery of this information, but I can't, because every time I turn to my right, there's like a bunch of people with pitchforks that are flipping their fucking shit about it, being like, they're fucking us, they're doing they're fucking us on purpose.
I want to say, I feel like my position on this dovetails very nicely with my position on piracy. Which is that if you don't fucking have $80, pirate the game and shut up.
Based on the evidence I'm seeing here, I don't think anyone should try to circumvent the security on a Nintendo device unless you want your wages docked.
Well, again, that guy
for the next
was like
3,000 years.
That guy was like selling products.
Right.
He was like,
that's a big no-no.
He was hacking switches and selling you a hacked Switch or something like that. Like, that guy was not. This is not. Normal people who pirate stuff are not being targeted by Nintendo.
Just below war crimes, I would put that. That's It's the worst, almost the worst thing I could imagine a human being doing.
It's the same thing with was it Yuzu and Citra, the 3DS and Switch emulators,
right?
Which I've never downloaded and never used, and didn't decide to not play Scarlet and Violet based on playing 2 hours of it on Yuzu.
Now there's a complication there because I now don't remember the details, but I remember at the time everyone was like, "Oh, Yuzu got in trouble because they were charging for access to their emulator," and
which is only half true.
That's when Dry Bones Bowser came to devour their souls. Mm-hmm. But yeah, apparently that wasn't really accurate or something.
They had a Patreon, and I believe that being on the Patreon gave you access to early builds, but the emulator was always free.
Yeah.
Same thing with Citra. I think that they maybe had a bit, but it also was true. I believe that people who like didn't have a Patreon were like, they really shouldn't have a Patreon. They're really pushing things. But the problem is, now the Switch is one thing, but the 3DS, they're not fucking making 3DS games. They're not. There's
not anymore because piracy killed it.
Piracy killed the 3DS. Like, this is not an active system that was in development. No. It's kind of crazy that
they're not even fucking selling. They've shut down the 3DS store. You can't even buy games for it if you want to.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Which is why it's crazy that they went after Syndrome.
God, what? Just take my money, you stupid bastards. What the fuck?
I mean, the amount of money that the two of us combined have put into buying games, you more than me, probably by thousands, is tens of thousands of dollars over the course of our lives. We deserve a little piracy.
As a treat.
We've earned it. We've earned
piracy. Even Kyle
piracy.
Can have a little piracy as a treat. But
the two of us combined on our Steam share thing have over 1,000 games just on Steam.
We both know we got a lot of those for $5 on a Steam sale.
I don't do a lot of Steam sale purchases.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore. But not so many of them were that.
Sure.
And if you combine that with like old school like Humble Bundle stuff, it starts to add up. But that's not piracy. We bought those.
Yeah, we did. And everyone's gonna be totally cool about it when Steam eventually shuts down years from now.
Hey, need I remind you about piracy?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, and I'm forgetting. Gabe wouldn't do that to us. From his boat,
from his private island.
Now. The thing that
it's
we
called
can...
New Zealand. It's Gabe Duel's private island.
I think the thing that we can absolutely get up in arms about and totally enraged over is the Switch 2 Welcome Tour software.
Oh, tell me about this. I don't know about this.
So they were showing off a piece of software for the Nintendo Switch 2 called the Welcome Tour, where it literally just it looks like the most boring thing imaginable. Like every time you see video footage of this, it's like a tiny character walking around on a big Joy-Con and going up to like literally in-game bulletin boards that will then explain like Joy-Cons have HD Rumble 2, and that's what here's what it means, and now here's a tiny little tech demo you can do so that you can feel the balls rattling around on the Joy-Con just like we did 100 years ago. It's this kind of thing. It's literally just like walk around and we'll tell you about the features of the $450 product you just purchased. And we'll give you a tiny little tech demo like mini game related to that thing.
And you're mad about this or something? What's your take?
Well, when they showed it off, they did not say how much it would cost, but they did say it would cost.
Oh, this isn't free? It's
not free.
That's crazy.
It's $10.
It's $10? That is stupid. That's maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
The dumbest thing ever. It doesn't even look interesting or fun. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
And everyone, no one can talk about this without bringing up like the obvious parallel from recent years. The PS5 comes with Astro's Playroom for free, which is a brief but very fun and well-made game.
Yeah.
And it comes pre-installed. And they're charging you for like an informational tour. It's literally called fucking Welcome Tour.
Yeah, that's insane. It doesn't feel very welcome.
Deranged. Totally deranged.
That's totally deranged. See, like, this is the other side of the thing where it's like clearly money grubbing. You're just money grubbing.
Yeah. It's
like a little worm, like a stupid little worm in the dirt. You're money grubbing for idiots $10. Because they're just like, oh, welcome tour, $10? I don't know. And then they get in and they're like, oh, this is stupid. I accidentally paid $10 for something stupid.
Yeah. Like, and when they don't tell you the price on the Nintendo Direct and they expect you to go looking for it online. Like, I didn't even find out for a day or two that they even had announced the price because it wasn't in the Direct. So I figured, I guess they didn't say the price. That's fucking bullshit. Like, they knew that people were going to get upset about it, and that's why they didn't say it in the Direct. And so, like, if you're aware of this, like, if you're aware of the bad look of all of this, why are you then going the extra mile to charge $10 for this thing, this nothing thing?
I guess okay, so one, maybe they're not aware. Two, maybe they're aware, but because people are always complaining about the price of everything, it's easy to go like, well, people always complain about the price of everything. Maybe they understand, but they're like, we really need an extra. God, how much can they possibly make off of that? $500,000? Can you get 50,000 people to buy that? I genuinely don't know.
I don't think so.
But there's going to be a lot of Switches out there. You don't think that they could... Or maybe it'll just be like, when you buy your Switch, it comes free if you buy it in the first year. Like, maybe they'll just say that. I don't know. Well, maybe that was always their thing.
That's not what they're saying.
That's not what they're saying, but then it can't be a happy little surprise.
Yeah, I feel like I would almost... It would be un-Nintendo-like of them to do this, but at this point, I would almost be shocked if it didn't end up being free. Because they have such a kerfuffle on their hands in terms of fan reaction. It seems like the easiest thing in the world to do to be like, okay, it's free. Okay, don't string us up. All the accessories that are coming out with the Switch 2, it's all the same stuff from the Switch 1. It's a little bit more expensive, which again, I understand technically because inflation has happened. So it makes sense that the prices would be a little higher. But remember, some of these things were already outrageously priced. Like the $90 Switch dock.
Right.
which was outrageously priced, is now a $120 Switch 2 dock.
Wait, but it does come with it, right?
It comes with a dock, but if you want another dock, it will be over $100.
Does the Switch 2 fit in the Switch 1 dock?
It does not fit in the Switch 1 dock.
Which, of course, they had to do on purpose.
Actually, now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
I'll say this: there will be no shortage of $30, $10, $20 dongle docks that you can buy off of the internet somewhere.
They may have already said it needs to be a Switch 2 dock, though they made sure everyone understood that while the Switch 2 is bigger, it's the same thickness, which means it could fit in the dock.
It does say Nintendo Switch dock is not compatible with the Switch 2. The power output is insufficient to use. That sounds made up. That's totally made up.
Yeah.
They've just made that up.
Yeah, because we already know the Switch 2, the Switch 1 power supply delivers more power than the USB-C standard or something.
Right. Yeah, they've literally made that up because it's just an HDMI cable. It's just an HDMI cable.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have it plugged in.
What?
You don't even have to have it plugged in, do you?
Which thing? What do you mean?
You do not have to have the Switch plugged into the wall when using a dock.
You do.
You do?
Well, you need the dock plugged into the wall.
That's what I mean. I thought that you could have it so that you didn't have that.
No. It has.
It is providing more power to the GPU, right?
Yeah, it has an extra USB port on the top now, so if you want to put it on a table on its kickstand and still have it plugged in, you can do that. You can also, I guess, now plug in your Switch 2 camera.
Yeah,
the one new accessory. $50
I'm seeing
camera.
online. I'm seeing $10, $15 dongles that work as docks. Just get one of those. I'm sure they'll have them for the Switch 2. I'll tell you what the biggest problem with the Switch 2 is. It's a stupid big gray slab.
Yeah.
Why do they get rid of the color? And then they suggest that the color actually, it's just wearing a classy turtleneck. But you undo the turtleneck, you see on the inside is all the beautiful red and blue. Fuck off. What? Why do I want this stupid thing? And the magnets. I hate the magnets.
Oh, really?
I will not feel comfortable holding the Switch if it's just got some fucking stupid magnets in there.
Oh, there's supposed to be good magnets.
I want to latch. I want to rail. What do the magnets do for me? Nothing. They do nothing. It is nothing.
I already never felt that good about the rails as the attachment point for the Switch anyway. And there's also been lots of cases where people drop the Switch and it lands on the corner on the Joy-Con and it breaks the latch on the thing and now the Joy-Con won't stay in the rail anymore. So I don't know. It seems like an improvement. I'm not oh, that's awesome.
I think that this is an emotional improvement for people who have not thought critically about how magnets work.
I mean, there's some really strong magnets out there.
There are, but I feel like the slight pull at the controller. Okay, now this is a cartoonish example, but just think of in a TV show when there's a scene of someone playing a video game and the way that they handle their controller,
and they're being extremely performative about it,
right? And so obviously that's not how people actually play games, but there is definitely some hand movement that's happening. I would not trust that it would be comfortable to have to consciously not be slightly pulling at the controller at any given moment. Because they'll just pull right out. They just pull right out.
Oh, they'll pull right back in.
They're meant to pull right out.
Well, yeah, you have to twist them. You have to bend it.
Tell me about the twisting.
It's the magnet strength is supposed to be tuned so that it doesn't. It's hard to pull it out directly horizontally, but if you turn it like you're breaking off a piece of a graham cracker. That's when it comes out.
All right. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if my fears about the magnets are unfounded. But I
think it'll be fine.
The second that I heard the rumors about the magnets like a year ago, and people were like excited by the magnets, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, excited about the magnets? That sounds horrible. Lock it in. Lock me in. You know, they used to have to... Here's what I'm thinking of. Another thing that I'm thinking of. They used to just give you the Wiimotes, right? And then they had to be like, okay, we're giving everybody these bumpers, and you have to make sure that the things are in your wrist because people were like throwing their Wiimotes at TVs.
Call them what everyone calls them, or they won't know what you're talking about.
What do people call them?
Condoms. Wii Remote condoms.
The Wii Remote condoms. There was a time before Wii Remote condoms. There was a time before constant warnings about make sure you're wearing your wrist strap because Nintendo doesn't have a good track record with understanding how people use devices. And so it makes a lot of sense to me that Nintendo would go like, well, it'll be magnets and then people will just have to be careful. And it's like, hey, dummy, people aren't careful. Kids use this. This is for kids. Yeah, and you know who's not that much smarter than kids? Most adults.
I kind of see it. I think the magnets will be better for kids because kids are the number one breakers of the plastic latch on the Joy-Con that fastens it to the rail. So if there's not a physical thing to break anymore, that seems better to me.
Yeah, but you can always bend the rail back into place. You know what you can't do is fix your switch when one side pulls out and then the rest of the switch drops to the ground because like the gravity has pulled it out of the socket of the other one, and then your switch hits the ground and cracks.
To be clear though, like the rails on the Switch one, those are metal. The latch that clicks the Joy-Cons in, those are plastic and they break. And then it doesn't ever latch anymore.
For me, it was the rails that bent, not the plastic.
How the fuck did you do that?
I don't know. It just happened, and so I just had to take some pliers and bend the rail back into place.
Holy shit! Okay, maybe the magnets won't be good for you. Keith is a Switch torturer.
I mean, it just happened.
Manhandling that.
We never dropped the Switch or anything. It just bent over time, and then it wouldn't latch in. Maybe what happened was that the plastic deformed on the Joy-Con. But then just making the rails slightly tighter fixed the issue. And so it's still a rail problem at the end of the day.
What if
we'll see.
The magnets can solve all this?
I want people to remember this. When the Switch 2 comes out and people start dropping it because that one side came out of the magnet and then gravity did the rest of the work, brought their Switch 2 to the ground and cracked the screen. Remember this. Remember me here saying this. The first and only voice.
Okay. I think it will be okay.
All right.
I think it's probably a better solution overall, but only time will tell.
Just make 2 metal rails. You know what I mean? Like, is it that fucking hard? To me, magnets scream cost-cutting measure that we can sell as a feature. That's what magnets say to me. We can do magnets for cheaper than rails, and we can convince people that it's high-end. That's, to me, what I get from magnets. And again,
interesting
first voice.
Take.
I insist. No one else has said this. I insist.
Okay. I mean, I don't.
Hey, I've clearly given Kyle something to chew on.
I don't, I don't disagree enough to be like, you're crazy, but yeah. I do think the magnets will be good.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure, but I do find it suspicious that there's not, whenever there's an issue that like no one is saying is going to be a problem, that there's no one saying it's going to be a problem, to me that screams marketing success and not that there's actually no issue there. And maybe it'll end up being fine. But I find it more concerning than affirming that like there's no detractors on the magnets.
Hey, you know what I'm more concerned about for the Switch 2 Joy-Cons?
Tell me.
No Hall effect sticks.
That's true. Why not?
Too expensive, probably.
Yeah, I guess. That extra $50 wasn't enough to put... See, now that's where I want the magnets. Put the You already had the magnets. You put them in the wrong part of the machine.
Yeah, so, I mean... Nintendo is... It's interesting. Nintendo seems really cagey about even acknowledging that there's an issue with the 100% failure rate Joy-Con analog sticks, because they're afraid of getting like a huge class action lawsuit or something if that hasn't already happened. I don't know.
I want to say they preemptively do free repairs on Joy-Cons. So that is how they avoided the class action lawsuit, I believe. I want to say this. I use 4 launch Joy-Cons.
What?
Still.
What?
Never had an issue. No issue.
Get out of
here. In fact, the time that I did think I had an issue, it was because of the rails, not because of the Joy-Con. So tightening the rails like fixed the drift that I thought that I was having. What was actually a connectivity issue, I thought was a drift issue. I use 4 launch.
I've had at least 3 or 4 Joy-Cons experience drift and need repaired, and then I think my daughter has had at least 2 to 4 of those happen for her.
Nope, 4 launch Joy-Cons. Those, I mean, you've seen my Switch. Those red and blue. It came with the red, and I bought a pair of blue, and that's all that I've used for how many years has it been? 8 years.
7,000 years.
It sometimes feels that way.
It's been 8 years.
It's been exactly 8 years almost.
Old lady Titanic meme. It's been 8 years.
All right. What else? What else do we have for the Switch?
For the Switch, what else do we have?
Are you gonna get one?
Switch? I mean, eventually.
What do we think? The tariff situation. What is that?
Right.
We're off.
That's the other thing.
We're off on tariffs for electronics, right? That's done. That's donezo. At least until someone changes something again.
It's... I do not follow the news on what
you
Trump
shouldn't.
Does and says because I can't. But I did see a headline that said Trump puts 3-month pause on all tariffs, but like doubles down on the China tariffs.
Okay, so the China tariffs, which the Switch would be subject to because it's made in China,
right,
is right now, as of recording, 145% tariff, which is
that's a lot,
absolutely crazy bones psychotic. That is the like bone disease infecting your brain level of insanity.
That's a spicy.
Whatever your opinion on tariffs are, which you're allowed to have, irrespective of Donald Trump. 145% tariffs, I believe, have never made sense at any point throughout history for any product anywhere. Now, I also saw something saying that there was like some exemption for electronics, like tablets and TVs and stuff like that.
Really?
As long as they still hit the de minimis, $800 import thing. I don't know. Again, the news is changing fast. It's all confusing.
Right.
The people writing the rules don't understand the rules. But when I'm searching for it, everything is saying that they will reportedly be subject to the 145% tariff. I don't know how you couldn't argue that the Switch is a tablet, but maybe that rule already got changed. Again, it's changing all the time, seemingly at random.
Right. I'm sure Trump will wake up in the middle of the night and tweet that he changed his mind about it somehow.
This from 3 days ago on Game Rant. I mean, forget that it's on Game Rant. I'm just telling you the headline. It says Trump tariffs no longer include certain electronics, including smartphones. And I believe that tablets was in there. And I don't know how you could say that the Switch isn't basically a smartphone or a tablet.
Right.
But then from a day ago, a bunch of articles saying Switch 2 will be subject to 145% tariffs. And if that's the case, I'm simply not going to spend $900 for a Switch.
Oh, well, no one is, and that's the main problem.
Right.
So Nintendo has... I forget if we said it outright, but it's that Nintendo said they were going to start taking pre-orders for the Switch a few days back. It was supposed to already start like almost a week ago or something. And
there
they're
was
delaying...
the whole own weird rules about that, too.
They're delaying taking pre-orders in specifically US and now also Canada for reasons I'm not privy to because they don't know what's going on with the tariffs. They're putting a pause on pre-orders until they figure out what the hell's going on.
Here's what I would say. Shot in the dark. I would not expect the Switch to be hit with tariffs. Or at least I wouldn't expect the price to change.
I mean,
I could be wrong, and I'll tell you why. Shitty Nazi gamers are like a core Trump guy.
Yeah, that's it. That is exactly my thinking. It's like Trump is going to hear that a lot of Trump supporters are really mad about not being able to get a Switch 2, and he'll just be like, actually the tariffs are 200% except Switch 2.
Except for Switch 2, yeah. So, I'm willing to be wrong. Total shot in the dark on this.
Yeah.
But
I think
especially because I had started hearing about exemptions for electronics anyway. And is it crazy that I think that like the main thing would be like if you took all of the Switches meant for America and imported them to Japan first, they would be subject to the Japanese tariffs, not the Chinese tariffs? So I don't know. Is that true? That feels true to me.
I don't know. They could. I don't know. They aren't there. There are like. I forget if this happens still or has happened in the past, but like auto manufacturers will get around the chicken tax, import tax on cars by constructing a full car and then disassembling it just enough that they can ship it to America and reassemble it there so that it doesn't count as an import anymore.
That's very, very funny. There's a lot of American-made stuff that like has big stupid American flags and says American made on it that is the exact same thing, where it's like every part of it is from somewhere else. It's mostly assembled somewhere else. I mean, there's a law that tells you the percentage that has to be assembled in America to count as American made, and it's not a high percentage.
Yeah, especially if you see a product that says assembled in America, you can count on that it was, they basically put in the last two screws and called it assembled in America.
Anyway, it's all insane. Who knows what's going to happen? And also, in a way, who cares?
Well, I care a little.
Yeah, because you want to buy a Switch for $450?
Yeah, I do. Well, no, I don't. I would like to have a Switch 2.
Right.
But
you don't want to pay for it.
I'm certainly not gonna.
Here's the question: how much money are you willing to spend on a rare mech game if you really wanted to do a 90-minute Let's Play of it? How much? What's that figure look like?
I would say if there were a hard to find PlayStation 2 giant robot game that I really wanted to do a Let's Play of. Well, you know what? If there was a really hard to find PlayStation 2 giant robot game that I really wanted to do a Let's Play video of, and it cost too much money, I would emulate it or burn it. But if I also did genuinely want to just own a real copy of that game also,
Well, let's just say,
I'd
for
have
instance,
to cut
you
it off
tried,
at $200, Keith. I wouldn't pay more than $200 for it. That's for sure.
Let's say, for instance, you tried to emulate it and it didn't work. Then you'd be forced to pay $200 for it.
Right. Well, and now again, this is all hypothetical. This is an imaginary scenario, but I'm imagining that maybe what we did was we tried to burn a disc and play it on a hacked PlayStation 2, and that didn't work, at which case emulation would be a totally viable option.
Right.
And also, again, in this totally hypothetical scenario...
Which, for convenience sake, let's say the game is, I don't know, Robot Alchemic Drive.
Oh my god, that's a perfect example, because that is a rare PlayStation 2 game about giant robots, so that's a great idea. So if it were that game, I could imagine that perhaps the mistake that we made was that we burned it to a DVD and tried to play it in the PlayStation 2, when in fact, of course, all smart gamers know that Robot Alchemic Drive was actually a CD PlayStation 2 game. And perhaps that was our mistake all along.
And so you actually wouldn't have needed to spend $200 on said game.
I didn't say I spent $200. I just said that's my limit.
No, that's your limit. Okay, so like, what would you expect to have paid for it if you had done such a thing?
Well, hang on. I'm gonna check on eBay real quick. Oh my gosh, Keith.
Yeah.
The last time I looked on eBay for Robot Alchemic Drive, the game was going for about $270, but hang on. It looks like now it's only like $175.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually sounds like a great deal now, doesn't it? Sounds pretty good.
I think that
you probably want to go get your own copy now.
Well, I guess the question that you're going to have to ask yourself is the Nintendo Switch 2 worth to you 2.5 Robot Alchemic Drives?
I don't see how it possibly could be. Keith, you control the robot from outside the robot. It's one of the only 2-scale Super Robot games in existence. I mean, the novelty of that alone.
Sorry, which scale? What scale is it to?
To the scale of the robot in Robot Alchemic Drive.
Okay.
It's to real-life scale, I guess.
To the real-life giant robots?
So the thing about Robot Alchemic Drive is that I guess I've learned to see in between trying and knowing about Robot Alchemic Drive and now, I have learned that before anime like Gundam, where there's a boy who rides inside the robot, but the older Super Robot animes would often have a boy who used a little controller outside the robot to control the robot.
Right.
And that's what you do in Robot Alchemic Drive. So in Robot Alchemic Drive, you are a regular-sized guy with a controller that looks suspiciously like a DualShock 2.
Wait, but I'm a regular-sized guy.
And in the game, you're also a regular-sized guy. But
That's
you're
unbelievable.
using you're very similar to a fucking Joy-Con 2 DualShock 2 PlayStation 2 controller in the game. To control a giant robot. And when you're a regular-sized guy in the game, but you're controlling a big giant robot, you're like, whoa, that robot's so big. You know?
Whoa, that robot's so big.
You're not like, oh, this robot's normal-sized and everything else is ants. You're like, whoa, that robot's huge.
Right.
Right? And then,
which is what I want.
And then what's fun is that it's really hard to control the robot because like its legs are on like the triggers and I think its arms are on the analog sticks. So then it's funny because it's like you're playing Octodad with like a giant robot where it's like you're trying not to just fall over all the time or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting game. Fun. Interesting game.
It's too bad.
At least $170, I'd say.
Yeah. And it's a good thing that we learned probably how to put it onto a CD. So now we can play it without having to pay $175.
Well, I have some great news.
Oh?
I actually did buy a copy of Robot Alchemic Drive on eBay.
I feel like such a fool. All this time I was speaking in wild hypotheticals.
Surprise!
I could have been speaking in facts.
Surprise. And so I purchased this game. It's true. But, honestly, part of why I bought it was because...
Well, it's to celebrate no longer owing money to the IRS, probably.
Did the IRS tell you that?
No, just an assumption that I made.
Okay, well, bad news for the IRS, I guess. I've just always wanted that game because it's neat. But it's eaten away at me for years, Keith. Because back in the day, it'd be like, oh, I really want Robot Alchemic Drive, but wait, a used copy is like $50? That's crazy. That's too much money. I'll have to wait. And the price just kept going up. It just kept going up and up and up. But what's this? I checked the price. The price has dropped. Sounds like the perfect time to strike.
Yeah, for the first ever time. I bet you really wish you had bought that game when it was $50, huh?
I sure do.
Or maybe you wish you had bought like 30 of them when it was $50.
Oh, well, yeah. I wouldn't have been able to find 30 of them. That's why it's so expensive now.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think I only ever saw one copy of that game, like in a used game store, and it wasn't even a GameStop. It was a Game Crazy.
What?
So it was not easy to find. But I found it.
I've never even seen a Game Crazy.
You've never seen a Game Crazy? Well, I've only ever seen one Game Crazy, and it was like attached to / virtually inside of a Hollywood Video. So perhaps Hollywood Video owned Game Crazy.
Barely ever even seen a Hollywood Video. Although it is where I used to rent movies when I was at my dad's house when I was a kid.
Wow.
Blockbuster with mom, Hollywood Video with dad.
Now, Blockbuster is the one that I actually have very little experience with. I never really lived near a Blockbuster.
I used to go to Blockbuster all the time. We would go to Blockbuster. There was one right next to Domino's. They knew their fucking target audience.
Man, God, I'm so jealous. I bet you were printing out Pokemon Snap stickers all the goddamn time.
I did do that, but not very often.
I never did that.
We would go to Hyde Park in Massachusetts. You'd go to the Domino's and get a cheese pizza and a pepperoni pizza.
And you'd love it.
Spicy wings. And we'd rent anything our little hearts desired.
That wasn't like rated R or something.
Well, right, yes, because we were kids.
Sure. You could have even...
I'll say our little hearts didn't even desire to rent rated R movies.
Right, because you're so pure.
Right.
You could have even rented Blockbuster exclusive games such as Transformers Beast Wars Transmetals for the Nintendo 64. And then you could have gone, damn, I wish I had rented something else.
I rented KOTOR 2 for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
At Blockbuster, not just now.
Right.
Rented it for the first time because you rented it multiple times, or you mean you rented it the first time you played it?
I rented it the first time I played it, and then went, holy fucking shit, and then I bought it.
You're like, holy fucking shit, this doesn't seem finished. I need to go buy it right now.
Yeah. Maybe they'll patch it.
Speaking of patches, sort of, I guess another Switch 2 detail is the whole key in a box thing.
Oh, right. Yes, you buy...
And mandatory additional game downloads.
You buy you buy a bitter little card.
It's my key in a box.
So tell me about this, because I only barely heard about it.
This is just... So for years now, across all game platforms, we have been besieged by the malignant, reviled key in a box, where you buy a game, and if you're not paying too close of attention to what it says on the box, you open it up, there's not a disc in there, you just got some numbers and letters, and then you got to type that in, and then you download a digital game for your account. And then you're like, why'd they do this? Why'd they put a box in there if they weren't going to have the game in? Right?
To save 9 cents.
Yeah, to save 9 whole cents. And I am to understand, I was already not buying physical Switch games, to be perfectly honest. I have like 3 of them, and I think like 1 or 2 of them were physical only. Like I have like the Labo card.
I have a mix.
My understanding is that there already were some of these code in a box Switch 1 games.
It's true. I have seen them.
Not something Nintendo ever did, I don't think, but it was an option for game publishers. And presumably this will still be an option for Switch 2, but there's now an additional option. Key in a box. Wait, okay. I guess code and key are kind of the same thing, but this key is a physical key. Looks just like a cartridge, but it holds a sinister secret.
It tastes like shit.
They don't... No, sadly, Nintendo ceased long ago to add a bitterant agent to the outside of their game cartridges. It is true.
It's not true. I taste every cartridge I buy.
Is that true?
Yes.
Really?
Just to see. Yeah, they all do.
No way.
It's true.
I've tasted some and they weren't bitter. And I heard they stopped.
No, they didn't stop. I mean, I can go right now and grab the newest game that I've bought and taste it right now. Do you want me to do that? All right.
Sure.
Hello?
Hello.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
All right. I have got, admittedly, not the newest game in the world, but I have got The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Here, you can hear me take it out.
I hear that. Yep.
We're going to lick the cartridge. Yes, that's quite bitter.
Huh.
That's for sure got a bittering agent on it.
Okay. You know, and we probably did already talk about this, but...
This is not the first time I've revealed on mic that I taste every Switch cartridge.
We all have to have a thing.
That's my only thing.
Everyone needs a hobby. See, when I heard, I don't know where I heard this, but it's a good thing I don't remember, because that person would be dead if I could remember who this was. But when I heard that they weren't doing that anymore, maybe I tasted a cartridge and it didn't have the bitterant on it, and I was like, oh my god, they stopped. What the fuck?
This is someone who tasted a cartridge during COVID. They had COVID, they didn't know, and they couldn't taste it. That's what it was. That's what happened.
Isn't bitter is one of the taste bud ones, right? It's not the nose thing, so you'd still taste it.
All flavors are taste buds.
No. Taste buds do like sweet, bitter, savory, sour, something like that. And then everything else is your nose. That's why that's what the COVID affects, is your smell.
I believe this is cooperative.
Sure. Anyways, when I was under the impression that they weren't doing that anymore, I thought maybe it was a combo like cost-cutting measure, and also perhaps that putting the bitterant on it to discourage people from putting it in their mouth had backfired, because now everyone was putting them in their mouths to taste how bitter it was, that they figured, oh no, this didn't work.
That's
Never
me.
mind.
You're talking about me.
Yeah.
I believe that it was only ever for like babies.
Yeah. It's
anybody
for small children. Yes.
And yeah, anyone who's cognizant enough to have heard about the bitter taste and then to test it is responsible for their own choking.
Oh my god, but imagine the headlines of like person chokes to death while trying to test if the cartridge is bitter.
Of asphyxiation.
They're Nintendo, you are responsible for a pile of dead 30-somethings. Tragically taken from their friends and family before their time because they wanted to see how nasty your games were. There's stupid blood.
There's stupid blood on your hands.
So key cartridges. If a publisher so chooses, they can release their game as a key cartridge, which is a physical cartridge. You put it in your Switch, and then that gives you the temporary right to download and play the game as long as the cartridge is in the system. I think it's easy to be really mad about this because it's more games that aren't really on the cartridge. But I think potential upside here is that Code in a Box disallows you from selling the game or lending it to friends and family. This allows you to resell Key in a Box. Allows you to hand it to friend or loved one.
But what it doesn't allow is for you to play a game on a console that is no longer in service.
Right. Yes, that is true.
Nintendo hates that once they sell someone a game, they have it forever.
They hate that.
They hate that. Because then, how are they going to sell it to you 4, 6, 7, 10 more times until you're old and then dying and dead?
Well,
not that ever stopped anyone.
Yeah.
That's Nintendo's biggest problem, like, culturally, as a business, I mean. Morally, they have more problems than this. But people are dying to give Nintendo their money, and Nintendo still, like, insists on trying to trick people out of it. And it's like, no, we wanted to give it to you. Let people want to give you their money. Stop trying to trick them or force them into it. No other company that, like, sells consoles and games has more people desperately trying to throw money their way.
I suppose that's true. I don't know.
I mean, could you imagine in 3 years? Wait, what year did the PS5 come out?
I don't fucking know.
2020. Okay. Can you imagine this year people begging for a PS6? Please, when is the PS6 coming out? Please let us buy PS6. That would be insane, right? People are like, hey, Sony, when can I start using my PS5? Please.
Yeah, they're still waiting for their PS5, so they have no right to want a PS6.
But yeah, Nintendo is the only one where people are constantly begging to be able to buy a new system from them. What year did people really start going like, I desperately want to buy a Switch 2? I think it was probably like 2022.
I guess that's true. I mean, I don't think it was an abstract want. I think they were feeling that the Switch was underpowered and that they were wanting to play better games portably on their Switch. Right?
But for another company, they'd just be like, fuck these systems. They're always underpowered and they're always like struggling to play games only a couple years after launch. I'm done with them. But with Nintendo, people go like, no, let me buy the new, better one, please.
I mean, I think the difference there is that like when a console starts to feel underpowered, you could be like, give us a new one, or you could just be like, fuck it, I'm playing it on PC. But since Switch is portable, it's like there used to not be a ton of other options. Now there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. I'm curious how the Switch will do now that like the Retroid Pocket is out there, the Odin devices are out there, the Steam Deck is out there.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a lot of people have bought those Steam Decks. I hear about people talking about how they have a Steam Deck, seems like all the time.
Steam Deck sucks. Have you held one?
No.
It's a nightmare. It's an ergonomic disaster.
That's not what
I don't understand what people are doing.
This is contrary to what I've heard.
Everything I say is contrary to what people fucking hear. I don't know what it is. Yeah, okay. They've got the buttons outside the thumbstick. It's psychotic.
Keith, you can't put buttons inside a thumbstick. How'd you push them?
Come on, you know what I mean.
Only a little bit.
Instead of having, on most things, you have your analog stick, and then above them are the face buttons. On the Steam Deck, the buttons are directly to the right.
Oh.
It's horrible. And the reason they did that is because they wanted to put those 2 stupid mouse pads.
Yeah, the
below.
2 mouse pads everyone loves.
I don't think anybody uses them. And even if they did, put them somewhere else. Put them on the back. You know? Like, make them smaller. I don't know. The whole thing is so huge and it's so heavy. It's like, it's not too heavy to hold. You have it in your lap and it's like, okay, this is fine. But after a little while, it becomes very annoying how heavy it is. Like, I've heard people critique people saying that the Steam Deck is too heavy. Too heavy doesn't mean like I'm struggling to hold it. It means it's not pleasant to use. And someone might also struggle to hold it. But yeah, I find the Steam Deck to be really, really not a nice piece of equipment to use.
Interesting.
I used it at Ted's house, tried to play some games on it. I don't like the screen. I guess the OLED one is probably nicer.
Yeah, well, that's who to go to when you want to try out an expensive video game thing you're not sure if you want to spend money on.
Yeah, go to Ted.
Yeah.
I haven't tried the OLED one. He has the OLED one now. He gave his other one to a friend. So I don't have any experience with the OLED, just the LCD. But I didn't find the screen to be very nice. I didn't find the way the buttons were oriented to be I didn't find almost anything about it very nice at all.
Wow.
I'm very happy with my my AYN Odin 2, the worst named device of all time. But yeah, I am very happy with it.
It's not Iron?
I don't know what it is. I say AYN.
It's got to be Iron. It's got to be.
I think it's in all caps.
I don't fucking know. The Odin's also in all caps, isn't it? Not the ODIN or the ODYN.
Oh, it's all lowercase. AYN is all lowercase.
Oh my god.
Odin is normally cased.
The plot thickens.
Yeah.
The other thing about Switch cartridges is that sometimes the if it's a really big game, the whole game might not be on the cartridge. You might have to download additional game to get your game. Because size limits or whatever. That's a thing.
Not uncommon.
Yeah. Now listen, I totally understand why people... Like, I understand why people want to buy a physical game so that they have the game and they can play the game and they don't have to worry about what if I can't download it anymore. But I feel like a lot of times when people are talking about how they want to have physical games and all this stuff, I feel like they're like ignoring the fact that we're kind of already well past the era of that being a real thing that exists, right? Like every game that comes out has like patches that need to unbreak the game on day one,
right?
Right, like.
Yeah, and I think this is why piracy is such an important part of like the conservation of video games.
Yeah. I mean,
because that stuff all gets put into a digital place. Versus like a game with half the game, a cartridge with half the game on it that needs to get patched. It needs to have DLC. Like,
yeah,
I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with putting putting codes on a card, and you have the card and the thing reads to the code, or a partial game on your disc, or it has to install from online, and you have to have the disc and an internet connection. I'm fine with that stuff more and more, as long as no one is stopping me from pirating things when that stuff stops working.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's Nintendo that's at the forefront of stopping people. Like by far and away, they are.
It's true.
It's true. So they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to like give you less and less of the game that you bought, and also stop you from getting it other ways. And they can't do that. It's a contradiction at the heart of their business model.
Meanwhile, you can just download folders of like every game ever, just like on Internet Archive. That's the funniest part. Is they're going around shutting down ROM sites, and you can just download every Nintendo game ever, like right away on archive.org.
And that's the thing; those are legal in America. That stuff's all legal. Yep. Emulators and ROMs are legal to have.
I don't know about the ROM part.
I believe that it was declared legal.
Declared by who?
The Supreme Court.
What? Fucking Justice Alito weighed in on this?
I don't know who weighed in.
I thought the ROM thing was still not okay. Which puts what archive.org is doing in serious gray territory, which they have special dispensation to operate within.
So the emulators are legal and the ROMs are a gray area. So
which is why you have to delete them within 24 hours.
Or I think that's not true.
We all learned that.
I think it's that like if you own the game, you can emulate it because you've bought the right to play the game.
Yeah.
Which is why I only play games that I've bought.
I think unless something has changed, and Lord knows things change all the time. Yeah. But I believe what used to be the case was that the only legal way to emulate a game was if you took your copy of the game and you made your own backup.
Oh, your license key? Yeah, you have to like game. Put your You know,
it's not just like, I own a copy of Duck Hunt so I can download Duck Hunt, which is a terrible example because you can't play Duck Hunt without a light gun and a CRT. But,
I can.
You know, I think it's like that's not enough. It has to be that you pulled the data from your Duck Hunt onto your computer and now it's okay for you to emulate it. Which is fine, because that's how I emulate all my stuff.
And yeah, this stuff is changing all the time because Nintendo's constantly suing people and changing rules. So I don't even know what the current updated things are. French Supreme Court rules in favor of Nintendo against site hosting pirated copies of its games.
Wow.
There is no killing piracy and emulation, so you might as well not fight against it. It doesn't make any sense. It is an absolutely losing battle. The best you can do is convince people that they're going to get in trouble for doing it, which they also are trying to do.
Yeah.
But like, there is no way to stop people from pirating, or they would have done it.
Right.
All of the biggest businesses in the world, any industry that deals with like entertainment media, has been fighting piracy for decades and failing. I mean, the rise of streaming was maybe the biggest blow that piracy ever had, and that's not legislation, it was convenience.
Right.
Like, it was easy and cheap to stream. Now it's expensive and annoying. So piracy is coming back because the way to stop piracy is to like have a Nintendo Switch where it's cheap and easy to play all the old games that people want to play, not by like individually ruining the lives of your biggest fans.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
You can't kill piracy that way. You can only, I don't know, like make people angry at you. It's the only thing you can do.
And they have been, I think.
And they have been. So for me, this is why I would go without buying a Switch. I think if we didn't do Run Button, buying a Switch would like not even be on my radar. A Switch 2. Because of Run Button, I do want to be able to stream those games.
I do genuinely want to play Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm not going to lie.
I sort of want to play Donkey Kong Bonanza. I don't really have an interest in Mario.
Donkey Kong Bonanza looks real good. The grand return of 3D Donkey Kong.
And he deserves it.
He deserves it.
He's been through a lot.
He has. Give him a banana. Donkey Kong can have a huge banana as a treat.
Yeah. Is there any other Switch stuff?
I'm sure there is, but I can't think of it, and it's getting very late for me to be podcasting.
It is, yeah. There's only one other piece of video game news that is of interest at all, and that is the BDS request that people start boycotting the Microsoft stuff that they can start boycotting. I know that you read a little bit about this earlier.
I learned about this 5 minutes before we started recording.
Yeah. Which is crazy because it's kind of been all over for the last 10-ish days.
But you know what hasn't been all over?
You.
Me.
Yeah. You've been all over one town.
I've been hermetically sealed inside my pod.
It's called a mail truck.
Playing Castlevania and Golden Axe Warrior.
Is that true?
It's true. I played both of those things recently.
Okay. My understanding, Kyle, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that their claims or their requests are basically to cancel your Game Pass subscription.
Done.
To stop. Done. To stop. Although you may not have had one already, right? Did you already not have one?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I canceled it already. So
right.
Done.
Preemptively canceled it. To like not play Candy Crush, done. Or like big games like Call of Duty, and if you have like the AI version of Microsoft Teams or not Teams, Office 365 to like use the non-AI version, which frankly sounds like they're doing you a favor there.
I don't have time, but I could totally talk for a long time about how psychotic Microsoft has become about AI and how it has potentially doomed them.
They've put a ton of money into the worst thing of all time.
Yeah.
And they're already scaling back. Or at least they're suggesting that they will be scaling back. The crux of this, Microsoft has always been extremely into doing stuff with Israel. I read that an Israeli firm called Sense was like the company that developed the cameras that are in the Kinect. So this is like literally like Israeli war tech that's inside the Microsoft Kinect.
And that's
Prime Sense.
That's devastating because we all have Kinects and we all love them and we all use them every day. So what are we going to do now?
But the things that I saw that were like so awful was like tanks that have Xbox controllers inside them.
What?
Evil, literally evil.
Oh my God.
Talk about like facilitating genocide. Like you don't have there's nothing to hide behind when your company's trigger is what they pull to like shoot the thing that blows up a building.
Christ.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's about as evil as you can get. And then also like a bunch of AI stuff for who knows what they're doing with AI. I mean, someone probably does, but maybe you do. Doesn't you say have claims of what Israel's military is doing with Microsoft AI?
Supposedly, I mean, I did not get to read very deeply into it, but it sounds like Microsoft's Azure AI played a large role in the Israeli military planning out and carrying through with all types of airstrikes and ground strikes against Palestinians. And it sounds really bad. Cloud and AI services they used.
I think also like the thing that is so insidious about the AI stuff is how it allows the people who are deploying it to act like, well, it was the AI. And it's like, well, but you brought the AI in here and told it to tell you where to blow up. And then when it said, you listened.
Oh, sorry. I think I said Azure AI, but I think Azure is their cloud thing.
Azure is the cloud thing, although I'm sure they're using Azure.
They are. They're definitely using Azure.
Let me see if I can. But that is like the big news story that's been on my mind a lot since I've been, especially like using Games Pass like for years now. It just seemed like a very it seems like a very small ask to be like, don't use Microsoft's play the free games thing. Yeah, I probably should be buying games anyway. This stuff has been so bad for the games industry, and the like ask of hey, if you could also not use this because of how Microsoft is pure evil, sure, done.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have these days don't have to go very far out of their way to not be using Microsoft's Xbox services.
Yeah.
Totally unrelated to facilitating war crimes.
The I can't remember if I saw a picture of it or if the picture I saw was real. I definitely saw a picture. I don't know if it was real or not, is the thing. But like, man, that picture of a tank with an Xbox controller in it is psychotic. It's crazy.
I know for sure that our military uses game controllers for controlling military drones and carrying out drone strikes. So it doesn't sound like that much of a stretch.
No, it's not. And it is like the worst thing about being into games is knowing that at a certain size, if you're a technology company, you are working at the behest of like the American government to do evil around the world. Companies that you never like if you had said 10 years ago, like that Unity would be in the position that it was a few years ago, where it's like they nuked their whole fucking they nuked their whole company in order to more closely work with the United States military and government on like awful things. I guess I would have believed you, except for that, like Unity, the like thing that indie developers make walking simulators with.
Yeah.
But you get to a certain size, and it's like, hey, the government's been thinking hard about your technology and how it can be really beneficial to us. Which is what their job is, I guess.
Yeah, and what was the what? I was gonna ask, like, what was the like egregious, military and government related mistake that Unity almost did to completely destroy their business, and it was that asking for royalties for every game sold or whatever it was.
That was one of the things, but they
sounds like the leadership at Unity is really on one.
Let's see. This is from Kotaku. Unity signs multi-million-dollar contract to help U.S. Army and defense agencies.
Cool.
Contract. This is 2022. Contract comes about a year after some employees expressed concerns about its past military deals. Let's see. 3-year deal with a technology company that will see it become the preferred real-time 3D platform provider for the U.S. government and its various defense agencies and militaries.
Hmm.
Partnered with CACI International, which I don't know what that is, on what the company calls an exciting 3-year multi-million-dollar deal that will help become the preferred real-time 3D platforms for future systems and design simulation across the U.S. government.
Bummer.
CACI is a $6 billion company whose mission and enterprise technology and expertise play a vital role in our national security, safeguarding our troops, and enabling our government to deliver cost-effective and high-quality support for all Americans.
Wait, hang on. I'm an American. Yeah. Sounds like I'm going to get high-quality support. Finally. Finally some high-quality support from my government.
Raise your hand if you've been feeling the high-quality support over the last 3 years. Stupid. That is this is like the thing. This is the poison that's like
that fucking
seeps
up there with,
through the ground into the river of being interested in video games.
Sorry, that I feel like that, like, working with Unity to provide high quality service to Americans, that's up there with like the time I saw a sign in a grocery store parking lot that said like parking lot cameras have been installed to help provide you with low prices.
I'm looking around for the low prices.
Yeah.
Not finding
I'm
much.
just seeing these cameras. What the fuck? All right. Well, I'm sorry to...
Have you been playing any games? Let's talk about some games before you go.
Oh, God. I mean, yeah, I totally have.
Yeah, let's talk about some video games.
I don't have time.
You've got time. It's 10:30. Have you played Blue Prince yet?
Blue Prince? I don't even know what that is.
It's a puzzle game. It's a puzzle game. It's a puzzle. It is a first person. Oh, actually, I haven't played The Witness for even 1 second, but I am going to say that as a Witness defender, you might really like Blue Prince.
Defender?
Yeah, from against my attacks against The Witness.
But you haven't played it.
Right, but that doesn't
Okay.
never stop me from attacking it.
Sure. All right. I'm like, I know, like, you know, because usually when you call someone a defender of something, it means that the prevalent opinion is like very negative. And I'm like, I know not everyone loves The Witness, but like, I didn't know we were defenders of The Witness if we like it.
I would call it at least moderately controversial.
Top 10 game for me, easily.
Really?
Amazing
of all time?
game. Yes.
Have you remembered about all the other games you've played?
My memory is poor. No, I mean, it's that good. I love it. It's an incredible game.
That's crazy. You should replay it and tell me if you still think that. Maybe I'll play it too. And you have.
I love it.
Wow.
You know,
you can just listen to Alan Watts on YouTube. You don't have to play The Witness.
I don't know what that means. I'm. Is
hey,
that, is
Pete,
there, is
write
that
in
like
and tell
one
me if
of
that
the,
was a good joke.
Is that like one? Wait, is that like one of the weird unlockables in The Witness? Is like that guy talking for 20 minutes or some shit?
My impression of The Witness is that it's a very Alan Watts talking kind of game.
No,
I don't know if he's in it.
It's like, okay, so easily the worst thing about The Witness is like the stupid audio logs and the other weird, I'll call them unlockables, that are sort of on the very much on the periphery of the game. Like, for example, I played through the entire game with only having found like 1 or 2 audio logs. But other than that, The Witness is just a game where you walk around and there's puzzles and then you do them.
Okay, so
A+.
Blueprints is
wait,
game.
sorry. I'm sorry. Blueprint, like...
This is a pun. You've discovered the pun of the title.
All right.
Blueprints.
So it is Blue Space Prince.
Yes.
Got it. That's what I thought you said. And
right.
Yeah. Okay.
So you are... I guess I struggled to... I've only played a handful of hours of the game. I can't remember if you're this guy's great nephew or
I'm
grandson.
Kyle.
Sorry, no. In this game, that is not your name.
Oh yeah, I see right here. As soon as you go to the whole title graphic for Blueprints, it's like it looks like a blueprint.
So
but it says
classic
Blueprints.
tale. You've been gifted the title and deed to this manor by your mysterious great uncle or grandfather. I couldn't tell.
Why have I never been granted a deed by an uncle or grandfather?
I don't know. Isn't it stupid to not be granted a deed by a mysterious great uncle? So you walk in, and the guy's like, in a letter, he's like, hey, I remember you from when you were a kid. This is my mansion, but you've got to solve some puzzles for me before I give it to you.
Sick.
You have to find the 46th room in my 45 room
Brewster's Puzzles
mansion. But the trick is that you're only allowed to solve the puzzles. You're only allowed to solve the puzzle in one complete day. So when every day ends, when you run out of energy to keep searching rooms, you have to start the day over, and then the next day, the mansion has like reset itself back to nothing, and you have to open the rooms one by one again. Each time you open a door, you get to pick one of 3 rooms that could be kind of like a board game.
Oh yeah, I'm like watching.
Remember we were playing Betrayal Legacy? It's sort of Betrayal Legacy-ish. So you have to solve all of the puzzles in all of the rooms in one day while you learn more and more about the place as you progress through it.
Am I going to end up redoing these puzzles? Like, oh, it's the dining room again.
Yes, but they get harder as you complete them.
Oh my God.
Yes. It had, to me, my first sense was kind of disappointment in like, oh, it's just this puzzle again. But then it very clearly becomes obvious that the game isn't really about the little room-to-room puzzles. It's much more about like finding your path through the mansion without like blocking yourself in and having to restart. And there's some Metroidvania elements where you're like permanently unlocking things for future runs. I bought it because I saw someone compare it to The Outer Wilds. And I couldn't disagree more. It's not like that at all.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that way.
And so I was fairly disappointed for my first few hours.
I could see how that could happen.
But it did sort of click with me. I played a little bit yesterday, and then I played some more today. It did click with me today where it's like, okay, it's not really about the puzzles. It's not as story-focused as Outer Wilds, but there is a lot of fun to the game of like trying to put together the house in a way that lets you keep going. Because the house is trying to, not actively, I mean, I don't know. But like
could be.
The way that you draw cards, it makes it hard to get to the end. Like just by the nature of the design, you have to work to get there.
Yeah, this looks super
I think that
cool.
you would like this game. This seems like a game that you would really
I think
enjoy.
I would like this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the newest game I've been playing is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So,
I thought you kind of quit on that game.
Well, I did. After a mere 25 hours, I got distracted by other things and only came back to it recently. I still, it's weird. I still like it a lot. I love the story and the characters, and anytime it's a cutscene, I'm having a great time. The only problem, and of course, a absolute fiend for Queen's Blood. We all love Queen's Blood. The only part of it that I'm very disappointed with is the combat, which is so weird because it's almost an identical photocopy of the combat from Remake, the previous game. But it's like, it's
which you liked.
Just, I liked it a lot. And it's just like, they tweaked like one thing and it feels totally off to me. To the point
where... Is there
a
name for that one thing?
I don't know, the difficulty. It was so weird because when I started Rebirth, I thought I was imagining things like, oh, this must be exactly the same, and it's just me who is feeling different about it. But I went back and I played like the DLC episode for Remake that I had skipped over, and I was immediately like, no, I like this way better. I don't even know why, but I'm just enjoying it much more.
So the new one is harder.
It's like, yeah, it's harder. I think it's one of those things where like anytime I'm in a battle, I'm just like healing constantly. And your ability to heal and use items is like, it's you can only use abilities so often. And if you need to heal, that's using up your ability. Like, oh, I can use one ability. Using a potion is an ability. So it's like I find myself I just feel like I'm constantly healing all the time. And that's on normal. And then if I switch it down to easy, it's way too easy. And so I feel like I'm caught in the middle between like it's either so hard I'm not having fun or so easy I'm not having fun. And then
you don't have to keep playing. You can quit.
Well, that's the thing. Then a cutscene happens, and then I'm having so much fun. I love all the cutscenes. I loved getting to the beach resort where Cloud is wearing a bathing suit and going around on a Segway and knocking over every object in the world over and over again, and it's great.
Queen's Blood. That's like the mini game card game. That's in there.
Card game, yeah. It's so good.
90% of what I've heard about the game is Queen's Blood.
Yeah, it's It's nothing remarkable. Like, if I described it to you, you'd just be like, okay. It's just like, it's well designed. Like, it's not too complex that you feel like it's a huge ask for you to like build a deck and play the game, but it's also just complex and well designed enough that you're having a great time and you want to keep doing it. It's good.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I mean, is it weird to have a game that's like 100 hours long? It's only okay. It's full of mini games that are good enough, definitely better than the actual gameplay part of it. And while you're going through this kind of okay experience, it kind of spits out a nostalgic story that you're excited to see again, rendered in 3D,
well, it's,
full HD.
I mean, yes, the whole experience is very strange. But that's the thing, is that they are expanding. Obviously, it's so expanded because it's 3 games instead of 1 game. It's so expanded. They go into so much more depth. It doesn't feel like the same story. It feels like a brand new telling of, like, it's like it has the same bones. It feels like if they like made a movie into like a 5-season long television show. It's like, yes, there are many of the same overarching beats, but there's all, they have to fill these episodes with something, and so there's so much new content that's in there. It doesn't feel like the same story, and there's a whole meta layer of like the whole thing is constantly winking at you, like, we know you played the original, we know you know what the story is, we know you're looking for the differences. It's totally bizarre, but I do really like it, except for when I'm in the combat. That's just when I get sad.
In the first one, I remember that like we talked about, they sort of took their foot off the gas a little bit, in regards to like how much of a God,
oh my goodness,
how much of terrorists you and your buddies are?
I think so. I'm not. It's hard to recall how much they did that at this point. I mean, if they did, I think it was only a bit.
I think my memory, and again, I didn't play this game. I'm never going to play this game. Not in a million years. I remember that they sort of took their foot off the gas of like how bad the bad company is and how much terrorism you and your friends were doing.
No, if anything, they've made the company worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's, at least if it was ever true, it's not still true. We were talking very early day, like first 10 or 15 hours of the last game is my memory of like how far in you were talking about.
Yeah, no, the only one thing I remember is like, in the original game, they use a bomb to like blow up a reactor. And I think in the remake, it was like, I think it was something that was like, they were
framed?
The company Shinra like wanted them to do it. Like they let them do it on purpose for their own nefarious plans. But then I remember someone saying like, no, actually it was that way in the original game or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you're liking it, even if it's a very confusing version of liking it.
It is a confusing version of liking it, but I do really like it.
You should play Blueprints.
I will play Blueprints.
That's like the only thing that I've been playing recently, by the way. So,
cool.
I did buy a couple games in the Steam sale, even though I said that I don't do that anymore.
Oh my god! And this was
The
one of them?
Root Trees Are Dead. Haven't played it. I heard good things, but I haven't touched it.
I think I've.
Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Also heard good things. Haven't touched it yet.
Heard many good things about that.
Heard many good things.
I never looked that deep into it because I thought the title was so stupid. And imagine my surprise when I constantly hear people praise the title of the game as being very good.
Everyone thinks the title is good. I thought it was good because the first time I heard someone say it, I thought that it was a band. I thought it was like a cool girl band. And then when it was a video game, I was like, oh, I kind of wish it was a band instead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is it sounds like a little bit of a silly title. So I expected it to be a little bit of a silly game, and it doesn't seem like that at all. So I was like, why'd you name it that? But maybe I'll find out.
I think it might be a little bit of a silly game.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. There's only one way to find out.
Yeah, which is to play Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
I would love to waste your time talking about how Golden Axe Warrior is a really good Master System game. But I do really have to go.
Okay. Well, we'll save it if you're still playing Golden Axe
Warrior.
Golden Axe Warrior.
Totally different from Golden Axe. Spin-off title. It's a Zelda clone. The most shameless Zelda 1 clone I've ever seen, including 3D Dot Game Heroes.
Wow, including 3D Dot Game Hero.
Actually, okay. Maybe if there's any game on Earth that is more of a Zelda 1 clone, it's definitely 3D Dot Game Heroes and no other game, but this one's really close. But that's why it's good.
And it is Golden Axe Warrior, not Golden Warrior.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a spin-off of Golden Axe. Golden Axe is a beat-em-up series.
Right, yeah. I've played that.
Yeah, everyone's played that.
Everyone's played Golden Axe.
Yeah.
Come on. That's actually, I like, I would like to enjoy Zelda, but he's just too small and frail of a little boy. This one with the big buff man.
Yeah.
Now this seems more my speed.
Unfortunately,
this guy could really sink his sword into some.
Yeah, the big buff man is really only in the box art and the title screen though, because when you're in the game, he looks just like a little guy.
Well, it's a Master System, but I know. I know
right.
when I look at it.
You're thinking about it the whole time.
Yeah, when he moves, I'm like, he's taking a big step.
Big boy, take a big steppy.
Big boy, take a big step.
Axe.
He's swing a big axe. Actually, he's got a sword on the cover. That's crazy.
You get a sword, then later you get an axe. I got the sword, and I'm like, oh, this sword's a little puny. It's hard. It's kind of off-center. It's hard to hit guys with. And then I got an axe, and it did a big sweep. And then I could also chop down trees to find secrets. And I was like, now we're cooking, baby.
Yeah, there we go.
But then I ended up getting a sword that was more powerful than the axe. Now I'm back to sword. Eventually I will get the golden axe, and then I assume we're off to the races.
Yeah, it's a one-hit kill on anyone.
I hope so. It should be. But
that's it for video game. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna play more Blueprints.
Yeah, I might have to download this. Well,
yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you.
And come back next time, 1 year from now.
1 year hence.